Crafternoon, everyone. I'm Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you coming in from all around the world. Today we're going to have some fun because we're going to be making an autumn card featuring one of the new stamp sets that was just released called Dancing Leaves. This was part of our card kit that sold out, but it's also available in the store a la carte, and it's one of my favorites in the whole kit. And we're going to be playing with ink and some alcohol markers today to make a beautiful leafy background, and I can't wait to do this card today with all of you. So it is great to see all of you. There's just a couple little housekeeping things I want to say. I was just kind of scanning through the chat before the live went live, and there were some questions about orders and people who placed multiple orders and their second order shipping before their first order and their third order. And so let me just explain to you how it works. We do go in the order of which the orders are received. So those orders are funneled into our shipping software in order. However, if you add something to your order or you make a change to your order, it goes to the back of the line. So if you ordered at 7 o'clock, and then you called the next day and made a change to your order, now your order goes all the way to the back of the line because we have to take the order out of the queue. We have to make a change to it. When we put it back in queue, it goes to the end. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we don't have just one picker and one packer. We've got lots of pickers and lots of packers. So as they get these orders in piles, one picker might have orders that have very few items, and she's moving very, very quickly through her orders, and your second order might be in her pile. Where picker A over here, he might not have, he might have your first order, but he might have 100 orders ahead of yours that are really, really long orders, have lots of different picks in them, and it's taking him longer. So you might see a shipping label come through for your second order before your first order, even though they did funnel into the system in order. So don't worry about the order that you get your orders in. You will get all your orders, we promise. The other thing is we know a lot of people are disappointed that the kit sold out. We did have thousands of kits. However, we were a couple hundred short from what we usually are able to offer because we didn't have enough 3D embossing folders. So we didn't have enough free gifts, and we didn't have enough of the one die. So we decided to put all of the extra inventory in a la carte. So people who don't always like the kit, you know, sometimes people will say, oh, I just really want that stamp set or that die set. You can buy them a la carte. Well, the kit did sell out. It was a much more popular kit than we anticipated. We never know how autumn's going to go because it's always in between two Christmas releases. We have our Christmas in July, then we have our autumn release, and then we have our holiday release in September. And some people start getting into holiday mode and they don't buy the autumn kit. So we never know really what's going to happen. But we're thrilled that you guys love this kit so much, and we're also thrilled that we're able to offer almost all of the components of the kit a la carte for those who weren't able to get the kit. And you can find those all in the What's New category on the website at ginakdesigns.com. Now, with that being said, I got to tell you, I've got some sugar water here because my blood sugar is super low right now, and it just dropped right when Tom pushed the button. So Tom brought me this sugar water, and I had to ask him, why is it yellow? Tom, come on in. I have questions.
You better run that through again.
Yeah, why is this water yellow? Can you explain?
Well, all we had here, you know, sugar is in short supply in the Gina K house. So I found some raw sugar.
Sugar in the raw.
Sugar in the raw, which has all those fine minerals and brown things in it.
Oh, yes. Okay. It does taste just like sugar. You know, this reminds me of a story about my aunt. My aunt, and I know we'll get to crafting in a minute. Normally I get right into crafting, but today I'm working on my blood sugar. So this reminds me of a story of my aunt. Do you remember her story, Tom?
Go.
My aunt was in the hospital, and the nurse came in and put one of those sanitary, they're all like sanitary, the little urine cups, where you break the seal, and put it in front of her and said, I'm going to need a urine sample from you. And she said, okay. And then the nurse left. And my aunt had just gotten her breakfast tray, and she had an apple juice on there. So she opened up the urine sample, and she poured the apple juice in there and closed it. And she just left it on her tray. And my aunt, the nurse came back in, and she said, oh, are you all done with that? And my aunt looked at it and said, it's looking a little cloudy. Let me run it through again. And she opened it and drank it, and the nurse fell out. I mean, he didn't know what was going on. And then my aunt revealed that she had poured her apple juice in there, and it wasn't truly a urine sample. But this just reminded me of that, Tom, you and your sugar in the raw.
And you wonder why your family has been thinning out these past few years.
Right?
So much.
All right, well, let's get to crafting. And Tom, do you have a word of the day?
I have a word of the day.
Excellent. All right. Well, this is the stamp set we're going to be using today. This is the beautiful new Dancing Leaves. I love this leaf. I'm so jazzed about it. And we are going to do some stamping in color, and we're also going to use some Olo markers. So I have my beautiful cup from Vicki Donnelly, and I put the markers in. I grabbed them from home. The markers, Vicki made me this cup. There's my beautiful cat, Zeus. I love him so much. But I put the markers in that I'm going to use today because several people reached out to me after I showed my sample at the release party and wanted to know what color markers I used for this card. So these are the markers, and I'll tell you the color numbers and names as we go, but I'm using the Ohuhu markers today for this technique. And these don't look very autumny, do they? But when you mix them with the colors that I'm going to use today, you will see how beautiful and autumny they look. So I'm going to start by gathering, let's see, where's my faded brick? Here it is. Let me put my glasses on. So I'm going to use, for this card, I'm going to use faded brick. I'm going to use honey mustard, prickly pear. I'm going to use dark chocolate and Tranquil Teal. Yes, this is a gorgeous fall palette. I love this palette for fall, and you can use this with so many different stamps you already have in your collection, and it will create a beautiful fall palette. Now this is beautiful for fall right there. I mean, that looks like the trees, right? But when you add that splash of teal in there, I think it really takes it up a whole other level. So we are going to be stamping using an acrylic block today, and I'm going to take a 1/4 sheet of cardstock. Now let me grab something under here. I just have I have a piece of cardstock here that's been used several times for different things, but I want to have this ready to go so I can stamp off the paper. Now what I like to do is I like to cut my paper down close to the size that I want to use, but I don't like to cut it down completely to the size that I want to use. And the reason for that is because I want to cut this out with master layouts too, because I want a little stitched edge. But if I cut it beforehand, then the ink is not going to seep down into those stitches, and sometimes it leaves a gap in between. So Master Layouts 2 measures 3.5 by 4 3/4. So I'm going to go 1/4 of an inch bigger. You could also cut it out with Master Layouts 1 and then recut it with Master Layouts 2. But a paper cutter is good for this part. So I'm going 3/4 of an inch by 5 inches, which is 1/4 of an inch bigger than the die that we're going to cut it with. Okay. Now, we are going to start with, and I want to do a shout out to Brianne Loveland, because Brianne, thank you so much for listing everything for everybody. Brianne is awesome about sharing links to everything that I use in this video, and she will be linking things as I use them. So as I get to the colors and stuff, you'll see her starting to link those as well. And then after the video is over, I go in and I edit the description on YouTube, so I will actually type out all of the ink colors, I'll type out all of my Ohuhu marker colors, and all of the stamps and dies that I used. So you'll be able to go back and find the complete list without having to search through the chat of all of the colors that I used. All right, so I'm going to start with the dark chocolate, and I'm going to use this stamp right here. So I'm going to stamp this stamp, kind of do a 5-point stamping here. So I'm going to start in the middle, and then I'm going to add some into the 4 corners. And this is a really good method of getting your stamping and your colors evenly spread around the card. So whatever color you start with, stamp 5 of them in this pattern. All right, we want to make sure that this is inked up well. And remember, when you're stamping with an acrylic block, give the ink a second to transfer onto the paper. Don't pull the block up too quickly. That's one of the reasons why we don't get as good of an impression all the time with the block as we do with the MISTI. So I'm going to start right in the center here. And you see how I'm holding it there for a second? I'm letting that ink leave the stamp and get onto the paper. And then I get a nice, vibrant image. Okay, I want to just clean this a little bit. I know I don't really need to do that. I'm stamping in the same color. Now, the other thing that we want to do when we're stamping, let's see if I can zoom in just a little bit here. Another thing that we want to do when we're stamping is we don't want to consistently stamp everything in the same direction when we're creating our own pattern. We want to make sure that we turn the stamp every time so that it looks more like pattern paper. You get a more random look that way. So for this one, I'm turning it this way, like that. And so for this one, I'm probably going to turn it in like that. Okay, and now for this one, I'll go, I know I don't need to stamp up the whole thing, but I'll go over here like this. And I'll just stamp a little bit right there. Okay, so now I'm going to get to my next stamp. And it's okay if these overlap a little bit, that's not a problem. But let's go with this one. So I'm going to use this one. That's this leaf right here. And I'm going to go to my next color, which is going to be honey mustard. I'm only going to stamp a couple of these.
And that first color was?
Dark chocolate. So I'll stamp one there. And then I'll stamp a little bit of one here. And then I'll stamp this right here, like that. All right. Now, I want to get some faded brick in there. So let's do this one with faded brick. Okay. So we'll get a good amount of faded brick right here. Get some faded brick right there. Okay. Now that's all I'm going to do with that stamp. I'm going to pick a different stamp and I'm going to stamp a couple of the other colors. And I'm going to use this skinny one right here. So I definitely need to get my turquoise in there. So we're going to get Tranquil Teal in the mix. My Tranquil Teal is a little dry. But that's okay. All right. And then I want to put a little Prickly Pear right in here. Okay, I'm going to use this same stamp. I don't think it will matter. I'm going to use the same one. Do some Prickly Pear. I'll get that right in here. Like that. There we go. So I've got Faded Brick, I've got Tranquil Teal, I've got all the colors that I wanted to get into this. Now you can mix and match other things in this if you want. Let me see if I have anything here that will work. Well, here's an example. Let's say you wanted to add some smaller leaves in here. I'm going to be using this greeting set today. This is the more modern greetings. And let's say you wanted a little bit more teal somewhere, or you wanted a little bit more Faded Brick or Prickly Pear. You could add a stamp like this, just kind of see where these might fit, and you can add a little bit more color. So for this one, this is brand new, I haven't used this stamp yet, but for this one, I'm going to add a little more Prickly Pear right here. And also, if you don't have this stamp set, just look in your collection and see if you have like a dot or a little heart or something like that that you can use to fill in small areas. So I'm just going to add a little more Prickly Pear right in there. And then, let's see if this will fit here. I think it will. I'm going to add some Tranquil Teal over here. So this is the fun of mixing and matching some of your stamp sets. Let me clean that a little bit. When they're brand new, sometimes it's a good idea to ink it up and then get your tidy towel and really clean it after you've gotten some ink on it. It just seems to take the ink better if you've stamped it a few times first. And then I like to kind of rub my finger over it to remove the manufacturing residue.
Anne wants to know, what size marker set do you have?
I have the biggest one. I have the 320 set. There we go. I like that. I think it's the best value, and there'll always be like a color that you'll see somebody use and you'll be like, darn it, I wish I had that one. So that's kind of the way I feel about it. All right, I'm going to use some Faded Brick right here.
And Amy wants to know, what do you look for to know that an ink pad is getting dry?
Well, it's hard to get the ink onto the stamp. Like it's not really juicy. So you're just looking for your ink not to be taking, your stamp not to be taking enough ink. All right, and then I'm going to add a little more Prickly Pear right over here. So this is a perfect stamp for adding some of these little details in there. And you see how that's filling out a little bit more? We might be able to add something there too. Let's add, let's do a little more honey mustard right. No, let's do a little Faded Brick right there. I want a little more red in this. Just add it right there. It's like the perfect amount of spacing. Okay, so now we've got this nice leafy background. Now I want to show you the markers that I've chosen. I did link the Ohuhu markers in the description. on YouTube. So that's already pre-linked because I knew I was going to use those, but I never know exactly what else I'm going to use. So for the faded brick, the marker that I like to mix with it is R15. It's called lychee juice. Is that how you say that, Tom? Lychee?
I think so.
Lychee juice. So this one, and I'm going with colors that are much lighter than the actual color of the ink. Now all of our inks are alcohol marker friendly. So you can use alcohol markers on these without smearing your ink. So I'm just coloring that in straight away. No fancy shading or anything. But it just fills that in so nicely. It's just a great color. Love it. Okay. And you can see the ink itself is not running at all because all of our inks work great with Copics, with Ohuhu, with Olo markers. No problem there at all. All right, now for the Prickly Pear, I like to use Y34. This is called Eggnog Yellow, Y34. So I'm going to add some of that in there.
It's pronounced lychee.
Lychee?
Lychee.
Oh.
Take note.
Got it. Thank you. You used to get that fruit in a can, didn't you, Tom? You used to eat that a lot.
Love that flavor.
Yeah, it's a good flavor. Okay, and now for the honey mustard, I'm going to use Y45, which is called cream. Now, if you don't have Ohuhu markers, just stamp out these designs or any designs and just pick a few markers that you think would match, that would look good with them, and stamp and color. Like when I first did this one, I stamped it and then I had every little segment a different color until I found the one that I felt was going to work best for me. So there isn't really any magical way to pick these other than just try. But I feel like coloring these leaves in just takes the whole thing up a notch.
Yes, fresh lychees are delicious also. And they do make a great martini.
They do?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I didn't know we'd get fruit salad in the mix. That's fruit salad right there. Okay. So now another thing that you can do if you want, if you have any blotchiness because you used a new stamp, you can fill that in with the color that I'm going to fill in the teal with, for example. So for this teal, I'm using B02, which is light minty blue. So I'm going to color that in, light minty blue. I like the names that they have for these markers. And then I'm going to go over that leaf that's just a little bit blotchy and add some light minty blue into the blotchiness. So then it's like two-tone and it almost looks like it's supposed to be that way. There we go. Okay, color in there too. Then for our final color, which is dark chocolate, I'm using E58, which is fawn brown. And you can see these are just beautiful, smooth colors. Now, if you don't have alcohol markers, you can also use colored pencils here. You could use water-based markers. If you want to stamp on watercolor paper, you could use watercolors. But if you use watercolors, you are going to have to use a different ink because our dye inks are not watercolor friendly because they are a water-based ink. So you might have to choose some of our amalgam ink colors. Our amalgam ink colors are meant for no-line coloring, and they're meant for stamping and coloring. So they're meant to be used with Copic markers, Gamsol and colored pencils, and watercolor because they are water safe. So you could use skeleton leaves, and you could use warm glow, and you could use chocolate truffle, and then you could watercolor those. So that's when you would use the amalgam ink instead of the dye ink. But they're made strictly for coloring. They're not super great blending inks, but they're great for coloring. And they do take a little bit longer to dry. The formula is a little bit different. So what you want to do is, I like to stamp things out if I use amalgam ink and just let it sit for a while. I'll work on other projects. I might even stamp a bunch of things and then get to them the next day. But if you don't have that kind of time, then just use your heat tool and heat set the ink. Okay, and then I know somebody's going to ask why I'm not wearing my wedding ring. So I can assure you that Tom and I will be together forever. Right, Tom? But this morning I was putting lotion on, and I never like to keep my ring on when I'm putting lotion on because it gets all stuck in between all the cracks and around the diamond and stuff. And I ran out the door, and it's sitting on my bathroom counter. So I'm still married, guys. I just don't have my ring on. But I assure you that Tom and I will be together forever because no one else will have us. Right, hon?
Right. True.
It's so true. It's just easier. It's just easier to stay together. After 40 years of marriage, we know each other's quirks, and we're good with them. We're okay with them. Okay, so there is my finished panel. Isn't that so pretty? Oh, I love that so much. Now, I did say that I was going to demonstrate this set today, so I definitely want to do that. This is the stamp set called More Modern Greetings. Now, let me find the coordinating die set. I hope I have it in here. I must have it.
Is it any accident that the word quirk contains the word irk?
Nope, no accident at all. All right. Well, darn it, I don't see my die set for this stamp set. Tom, it might be over there by you. Can you look in that bag right there and see if it's in there? If not, oh, I found it. Never mind. It's always when I make Tom get up and take his headphones off that I find it. So here it is. This is the coordinating die set. So a lot of people have already received our first set like this, which was called Modern Greetings. And I love that set so much. It's one of my favorites, and a lot of people have said, you know, you need to do more of these greetings. So we have this one, and we have another one coming out later this year. We're actually introducing it at a class that we're doing in October, and then we'll be releasing it into our regular inventory in November. But this one is so fun because it's perfect for the holiday, the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday, or anytime you want to make a thank you card. But it's also really good for sympathy cards or cards of encouragement. And a lot of times I find that I'm making more encouragement cards and sympathy cards and things like that than I'm even making, you know, like other kinds of cards. So having a couple nice big bold greetings that work beautifully with your background panels that you make is really nice to have in your collection. A lot of people get confused though about how to actually stamp these. Now if you decided against purchasing the die set, then it's pretty easy. You just stamp thankful and then you just stamp for you underneath. And the combos are thankful for you, grateful for you, thoughts and prayers, and love and prayers. So, and you could just use thankful by itself. You could use grateful by itself. You could use love by itself, or you could mix it if you have the word you or a die cut that says you. You could mix that with that. But you really get the impact of how this was designed if you get the coordinating die set. So let me show you how to do this, and we'll also do a fun little ombre technique. So I'm going to get my intercut die cutting machine here. Okay, and let me get my die cutting plate. Now the first thing that you want to do when you're creating these is you want to cut some blanks of whatever combination you want to use. You want to cut some blank dies, and these are great for mass producing. I would mass produce these greetings and have them ready to go in your collection. So I'd make lots of these, and using this technique, it will be really easy to make lots of these. Oh, it's a class that was launched last spring for Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine. So the class has been sold out for quite some time, but the class itself doesn't happen until October. All right, so I think for this card, I'm going to do Grateful for You. And let me just show you what they look like all put together here. So here's the different ones that I had done earlier. So I think I'll use Grateful for You for this card, even though I absolutely am bananas over the greetings in this set. They're big and they're bold and they're gorgeous. I did promise to show this today, and these work so nicely with these kinds of panels. So I'm going to use Grateful for You. And so what you want to do is you want to find the coordinating die for Grateful for You. So it's this one right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a couple of them. Can you see my little dent in my die? Because I was cutting out a bunch of them and the dies overlapped in the die cutting machine. But they still work. It's not a big deal. Yes, this is an incentive set, Karen. It's yours free with any purchase of $75 or more. And you can, you can pick up the die set later if you want, or you can use the die set to help you get to the $75 so you qualify for it. All right, I'm going to do a couple more, just so that we can kind of see the mass production process. I don't think we're going to be making these in polyglaze, just because there isn't really, I don't think that we have plans to make these in polyglaze right now. All right. Now I'm going to get some, I don't have a reason right now. I don't know why we decided against that. I'm going to get a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to trim this down with my paper cutter. And don't worry, guys, my blood sugar's all back up again where it should be because of Tom's yellow sugar water. All right, so we're going to make a template. Now, when you make a template for this, you want to cut two. So you're going to cut two, but in a different color. And the reason why we're going to cut it in a different color, and preferably a dark color, is it's going to enable us to see really well where we want to place it so we can get the white line around the outside of the greeting perfect. And you can use this same technique for any stamp that you want to stamp and get it perfect. But it's exceptionally useful when you're trying to do a two-step stamp onto a die like this. All right, because it's, you can't really stamp this first and expect to nail it and center it perfectly on the die. It's really hard to do. But using this technique is really good. All right, now before I put this die cutting machine away, I think I'm going to cut this out using Master Layouts 2. While I have the die cutting machine out, might as well, right? So I'm going to use the stitched die for this, and you can see why I decided to cut this so close to the size is because if I had cut it really big, I might have missed out on this corner. I might have missed out on this a little bit up here, but because I cut it almost to size, I can get everything that I want to get into the scene here. And for those of you that missed the beginning, the reason why I decided not to do it first, to actually die cut it first and then stamp it, is because you've got these little stitches in here. Let me just run that through again. You've got these, no, I don't want to do that because I will be, let me lay this down here. You've got these little stitches going around, and then when you stamp over the stitches, sometimes it blocks the image from being complete, and you can't really stamp down into the stitching. So if you cut it first, and then if you stamp it first and then you cut it, then the stitches all look perfect even where it's going over the inking. It looks really pretty. Okay. This is all I have left. So I didn't waste too much. Now for my second panel, I know this is weird, but now we're in autumn and I'm not using as much black cardstock as I am using brown cardstock. But my favorite brown cardstock to use that's almost black is charcoal brown. Charcoal brown here, you can see it up against black. But charcoal brown is the darkest brown that we have. And I like it as a good substitute for both greetings and for cardstock when I'm doing more warm colored types of things in the fall.
Any plans to make the modern greetings in polyglaze?
Oh, I just answered that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, no, we're not going to be doing that. We don't have plans for that right now. I don't know. I'd have to talk to my team and see. I know that we've got all of our polyglaze planned out for what's coming, and then we did this stamp set kind of at the last minute. So I've got to figure out exactly what the plan is on that.
Sorry, I was deep in the dead space.
Oh, that's okay. You're probably reading the questions, trying not to miss any. Okay, so I'm going to layer these two together, and you can see how nice that brown looks up against the dark chocolate. It's just, I like that look on this a little bit better than the black. The black looks very harsh up against it, where the brown just blends in beautifully. Love that. Okay, so we'll bring the die cutting machine back again because I'm going to be doing some embossing too. But for now, let's get to this technique. All right, so I'm going to just trim these templates. These you could keep for something else if you want. That's what fell out of here. You could always emboss on these if you want, but again, it's, you know, you'd still need the templates to nail it. And I'm going to cut these templates out separately. Okay. So there's one, and here is another one. Okay. So I need my MISTI for this. So if you don't have a MISTI, if you have some other stamping platform, you can certainly use another stamping platform, but it is really good to have a stamping platform for this technique. Otherwise, you are going to have to eyeball it, and that can be a little bit difficult. So I'm going to use a piece of cardstock here, and I'm going to put my Grateful up here, and I'm going to put my For You down here. Now you can make as many of these as you want, but you have to do them all at once. Otherwise, you'll have to redo this part. but you can use the same templates that you made, and you can keep that with your stamp set. So I'm going to put the grateful here. And the reason why is because once you stamp these words, you're not going to take them off the MISTI because you want them to be in the perfect same position. Okay? But you could keep this piece of paper and just move it down a little bit and stamp it again. It doesn't matter what this part looks like, you know, for another date, another time. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the grateful. I'll just pick a color. It doesn't matter what color you pick. I'll pick honey mustard. Okay. And I'm leaving this stamp in here. I am going to clean it because I might do a different color, so I don't want that, that color on there. And then the For You, I'll stamp that in charcoal brown because that is the color I'm going to be using. So I'll stamp it in charcoal brown. It is such a good autumn color, and it almost looks black. It's dark brown, but it almost looks black, so it's almost the same. Okay, so now you're going to need a little bit of tape. It could be washi tape, it could be purple tape. I'm using some pixie tape here. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this template and I'm going to position it so that the grateful is perfectly outlined the way I want it to look if I was die cutting it. All right, so let's get it into a good position here. That looks pretty good. That would be nice if I could die cut it that perfectly, right? So I'm going to put a little pixie tape here and a little pixie tape right here, not going over this opening. Now I'm going to take my second template and I'm going to line the For You up, so that is perfect. So that's the way I would like the bottom of this to stamp and cut. And I'm going to tape that down. So now I have my templates set up and I can stamp as many of these as I want. You just cut blanks and you'll be ready to go. I've got so much ink on me already. So what would be a good color for this? I think maybe if we did like the honey mustard and maybe a little warm cocoa for the grateful, just to get some of these lighter colors in here, and then we'll use obviously the charcoal brown for the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to pop it into my template. And now, Tom, can you remove me from the corner there so that they can just see this whole thing?
Removing you.
All right. So now we've got the grateful stamp here. We haven't moved it, right? And we're going to go ahead and we're going to stamp the grateful onto here. Now this is why it's so great to have the MISTI, because I want to stamp it so it's a little more solid. So I'm going to stamp it again. Okay. Now I'm going to put that back in there, and maybe I'll use a little of the charcoal. No, I'll use warm cocoa. Okay. So I have some warm cocoa here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to darken up the top of the grateful just by taking my ink pad and adding it right to the top there. See that? Just like that. And now I'm going to stamp that again. And can you see how the top of that is a little bit darker than the rest? Can you see that, Tom?
I can see that.
Okay. You could go even darker than that if you want. So let's say you don't think the warm cocoa is enough contrast. Let's go ahead and throw a little bit of charcoal brown on there. So we're just going to angle it just to hit the top a little bit. And then we can add that in there. There we go. And now it gets even darker at the top. Okay. So now we've done that one. Now we're just going to pop this right in the second template, and we're going to add the second greeting. There we go. And so you get the nice overlap of the words, but that would be very difficult to cut this out just, by stamping it first. How would you ever know exactly where to place the for you, right? So by doing this template technique, it's perfect every time. It's perfectly centered on that die cut. And yeah, then you can do the fun ombre technique too. So let's do another one in a different color combination. Let's do Faded Brick on the second one. And then we'll have a couple ready to go for other cards. I know, it's so easy. Now, if you have any die cut that you seem to have trouble cutting out, like any die that seems to give you trouble, use this technique, even if you're just stamping it once. Having that template to be able to perfectly center it and then go ahead and stamp it, it's always going to be perfect. So we'll pop that in there, and then we'll do some Faded Brick on this. There we go. You know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to use brown at the top of this too.
Just curious.
Yes.
From the dead space. Would a lighter reddish, like a coral, work for this kind of thing? Or,
sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, we could do that. We'll do that on the next one. So now I'm going to add my dark brown. Oh yeah, the coral will look great. And that gives me the two-tone there. So now...
It's kind of like a greeting with eyebrows.
That's true. We'll try the coral. The coral will look great. It's a great idea. There we go. There's the Faded Brick one. You can start to see as these colors dry, they dry lighter. So can you see that starting to get lighter?
Very
honey
much,
mustard.
yes.
So this will dry up lighter too. It's always a little darker because it's wet. It's kind of like, I always say that dye inks are very similar to when you paint a wall and you think that you've got this light color and then you paint it and it's like, oh, that's darker than I wanted. And then you go to lunch and come back and it all looks light again. And that's just because it's wet. When it dries, things dry up lighter. Okay, let's try Tom's Coral. So we're going to go with Sun-Kissed Coral. We'll start with the Grateful.
Sun-Kissed what? Orange.
Sun-Kissed Coral.
Sun-Kissed Orange, isn't it? Oh, the other, yeah, okay.
Sun-Kissed Coral. All right, we'll give that another stamping just to get it nice and solid. Okay, now we'll add the Faded Brick. Is that what you were talking about, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of end up at orange.
You always end up orangey, yeah. I love the way that looks. That looks great. Isn't that fun? It's so vibrant.
Very nice.
And then we'll add this in here. And we'll add our second color. There we go. So you could see, you could do bright colors. Oh, if you ever get it stuck in there and you don't want to like be digging down into your template, just take a little bit of like pixie tape and just grab it with the tape and it'll pop right out. So there's 3 different looks. We've got our honey mustard with the browns. We've got Faded Brick with the browns. And then we have Tom's combination, the Sun-Kissed Coral with Faded Brick. Very pretty and very vibrant. Now, I don't know how any of that is going to look against this, but we can look at the different ones. So this is this color combination. And here's the Faded Brick combination. And then Tom's bright coral combination. I think all of them look really cool. It's very fun. But I have these that I can use for another card later. So I'm going to clean my stamps and take the stamps off. Now, once I take the stamps off, this template is no longer valid. If I want to do it again, I've got to put, because I'm telling you, it is so hard to line your stamp up on here. I don't care how good. I know I'm not good enough to do it. I would just restamp it. And you don't have to use good paper for this part. You could use a scrap. You could use something that's got ink stains on it. But I am saving my templates so that next time I want to make these, I've got 2 templates ready to go. And all I have to do is quick stamp them and line them up. And then I can mass produce again. Okay. There we go. Get that out of there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a little border for this card because I'm gravitating toward the faded brick one. I think that I really want to pull some of that faded brick. I don't feel like there's enough red in this card, and that will just pull it out a little bit more. But I also feel like this greeting kind of gets lost on there. So I want to do a strip of color going across. And I think a good color going across would be the teal. To add a little bit of teal going across this card and then popping this on top of that teal. So that's what I'm going to do because I want those 2 colors to really shine. And because I'm putting that strip over the center a little bit, some of my red and some of my teal is going to get covered up. So I want to add a little bit more of those 2 colors into this card. That's just my thought process. Now I want to show you another little tip. So first let me just cut this quarter sheet out. All right, now I've got my turquoise sea here. I want to make sure that I've got a nice straight cut. Okay. That made all the difference right there, that string. Okay, so now I'm going to figure out how big I need this to be. So I think I'm going to make my strip about 3/4 of an inch because I'm okay with it overlapping a little bit. So this is cut, I can cut this, it's at 4.5 inches right now. So I want to take it down 3/4 of an inch so I can cut a 3/4 of an inch strip. So there's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So I'm going to take it down to 3 3/4 of an inch. Okay. I want to see how that's going to look. So if I put that over the center and then I pop that greeting on there, I feel like the greeting pops out a little bit more. You could even have it down a little bit like that, or you could have it up a little bit like that. We could also make that strip a little bit bigger. Let's try making it a full 1 inch. So here I'm at 4 1/4 inches. I just have to go down to 3 1/4 inches to get a 1 inch strip. Let's take a look at a 1 inch strip. You like that better, Tom?
Can I see the other one again?
Sure. All right, so there's one. And then here's the other one.
I like that one.
You like this one?
Yeah, because it lets in the white, the white part of the sentiment blends in with the white of the background, and it lets the white through the turquoise.
Okay. All right, so we'll go with this. So now I'm going to do 2 things. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to emboss this with an embossing folder. So let me grab an embossing folder here. I want to use the Swiss Dot embossing folder. I am going to back out just a little bit, just because we are a little bit close here. Let me turn my zoom outer on. Okay. So I'm going to do 2D embossing. And I'm going to turn my die cutting machine to 2D emboss. And then I'm going to use both plates. Where with 3D embossing, you only use the bottom plate. With 2D, you use both. And then I'm going to get that strip, and I'm going to line the strip up onto these dots. I want to make sure that it's as straight as possible. So I'm looking at it, let's see. It's easier to see if there's something dark under there. So I'm going to just center it onto the dots like that. And then to make sure that it doesn't shift at all, I'm going to use a little pixie tape right here and a little pixie tape right here. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and send that through. And you can see that's nice and straight. With some embossing folder designs, it doesn't matter if it's straight, like if it's a flourish or something, but if it's like lines or stripes or checks, you do want to get it straight. All right, so I'm going to send this through. Now, normally, I'm going to keep this right at 0. Normally, I would die cut first, but because when I'm embossing, I don't want to die cut first. And I only know that because I did it and I messed up. What happens when you run anything through an embossing folder is it shrinks. So if you die cut something to fit something else that isn't embossed, the one that you embossed will be a little bit smaller. So in this case, it's better to emboss first and then die cut second. So now I'm going to die cut this strip. Look at how pretty that is. I'm going to die cut this strip using Master Layouts 2 because I want the stitches to match the stitches on this panel. I want those stitches to be, you know, very, very cohesive going down. I don't want there to be stitching and then no stitching and then stitching. When do you use pixie tape instead of masking magic? I use pixie tape when I don't have my masking magic in front of me. But I would have preferred to use masking magic because can you see pixie tape stuck to that? So hopefully I still have enough room. But masking magic is always my #1 choice. Always. That's a great question. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this down and I'm going to get the stitch die from Master Layouts. I always have to check to see if Brienne texted me for anything. I'm going to get Master Layouts 2 and I'm going to position that Master Layouts 2 so that it looks straight. All right, like that. Let me see if I have masking magic. I'd much prefer to use it. That looks pretty straight to me. I know it probably looks weird to you guys because I have it tilted on the screen, but I would like to use masking magic. Let me see if I have any of the big ones. Oh, here's one. Okay. All right. So I'm going to use some masking. Oh, I have some up here. I didn't even see it. Guys. So I'm going to put that right over that to hold that in place. And this one, I don't know if it has enough stick left, but we'll see. Okay, there we go. I didn't even see it there. And now remember, I have to turn that back to die cut. And I know I'm going to smash my dots down a little bit, but we're still going to be able to see them.
They saw it.
They did see it?
They were yelling at you.
See, I also didn't see the comments. Okay, so there we go. Okay. So now I've got the cute little stitches along the edge there. Can you see those if I get it in the light? Okay. Okay. Now, get this out of the way. Yeah, I know you guys. You guys see everything, and then I have to remember to look up. Now let's get that brown piece. We'll get all of our little bits and pieces here. I'm going to zoom in a bit. And now I'm going to first line these two up. And see, now it's a perfect fit on the sides. If I had die cut, if I had embossed second, this would have been about that short on the edge. And that's what happened to me when I was planning this card way back. And I just remember that, and that was like, oh, all that work, and now it doesn't fit. So I'm going to attach this onto my charcoal brown panel. And now I can lay this right on here. I do like this size better too, Tom, and you know why? Because it shows more of the red. That other one was blocking out so much of the colors that I really wanted to focus on.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll find a center spot here that looks good. Right in the center. Go to the edge and go to the other edge there. And then this, I can pop this up on here to give it a little bit more separation. So let me find my foam squares. And put those on. Okay. And you can do, if you don't want to do so much brown on your card, you can do more yellows, or you can do more turquoise or whatever. I'll show you in my sample card from the other night. I used a different greeting, and I have more yellows in there, and you might like that better. All right, so that's going to go right there. Like that. And now I'm going to add some embellishments in here. Now I could add gold. I really love these gold iridescent dots for this combination. But this isn't open. So I want to see what I have in these iridescent dots and see if I have any colors that would work. I've got some yellows in here. I want to see what these look like. Oh, look at this color. That's a cool color. Look at that. Let's use that one. And that's kind of a cool yellow to have close to the prickly pear. Here's an orangey one. We can put a little teal in there. Do some more teal. Can never have enough teal, in my opinion. I'm just laying this out first to see if I like it. I think I'm going to like it, though. This is fun. This is a fun color combination. So we can put one right there. All right, that looks pretty good. The red that I have is too cranberry. You know, when you turn it in the light, I don't feel like it's the right red for this. But I think these colors are good. Now, this is our regular iridescent dots. I know a lot of you have this collection of embellishments already, but I'll show you on my other sample where I just used plain gold, and you can decide which one you like better. This is a cool one because it has a little red when it turns into the light. I'm using our Matte Connect glue. And I'm just randomly sticking these on here. A little bit of yellow is fun. I feel like a small one would be better there. Let's do a small one. There we go. Did I get them all? I think I got that one. But I like using the dots because of the Swiss dot background. I have glue now on the end of my thing. Okay. So you can see you've got all that fun autumny colors in there. And this one does pick up some of that more brick red when you hit it in a certain light. So I like that one. And those are fun. And the dots play off nicely with the dots in that embossing folder. Now for the card base, I want to go bright on this one. So I'm thinking something like butterscotch. Let me find butterscotch. No, yeah, butterscotch. Butterscotch would be a great color for this. it brightens everything up quite a bit, and we don't have a ton of butterscotch color, that honey mustard with the color that I colored that honey mustard in, which is the Y45 marker, feels very much like butterscotch. So I think this is going to be bright and fun. And then I'll show you my other one that I made where I just used a white card base. So my sample from the release party is different. I used a different greeting, I used different embellishments, and it just gives it a different feel. But this is really fun and bright. So butterscotch is a great cardstock color. If you don't have this one, this is one to add for fall. And it'll be great again in the spring too. It's definitely a beautiful, bright color. But it's got that little bit of warmth that some yellows don't have. You know, like a lemon isn't a warm yellow. It's a cooler yellow. It's got a greenish undertone. Same with wild dandelion. They're cool yellows, if there's such a thing. They're cool yellows. The warm yellows are like marigold and butterscotch and sweet corn. They've got that warm, buttery feel to them. Okay. So there we go. There is my finished card. Now I'll show you the other one that I did on release party night, and I added black to this one, and I did a black strip behind that center strip. Now I could have done a brown strip along this one if I wanted to, and here I used the gold sequins on this one. But all of the marker colors are the same on both of these cards, and all of the ink colors are the same, but two different looks, two different greetings. Which one do you like better, Tom? You knew I was going to ask, right?
Oh boy. I can't. I like the brightness of the white one, but I like the warmth of the other one. And I'm still enjoying that grateful
the gradient look?
Yeah, where that, I'm still enjoying that, how that turned out. So,
and here's the other two. Look how they lightened up because they dried.
Wow, yeah.
So, you know, you could see if you prefer that on there instead, maybe you like that color combination better. I think this one might be a little too corally for it, but it's still pretty.
Yeah, very nice.
So you know, all I can say is make them both, right? If you don't know which one to make them both.
Yes.
All right. Well, Tom, come on back in because we need a word of the day from you. Everybody's been asking for it, and I totally got lost in what I was doing. So we need your word of the day.
All right, play the song.
Okay.
Oh, hey, hooray, let's laugh it up. Don't delay. Word of the day, it's here to stay.
Okay, earlier in the show, you were showing us how you used, what did you use? Two dies too close together, right?
Yes.
And that was a little scary.
It was scary.
That was a little scary. That could have, in the very least, turned into a debacle. Worse yet, a tragedy. Or, heaven forbid, a complete and total disaster.
3 words of the day.
Glad that didn't happen. Boy, don't do that. Don't cross your dies.
That's awesome. Those are good words. Oh, my goodness. Well, Tom, we're going to give away a gift card today.
All right.
To one lucky person from the comments. But before we do that, if you like today's video, we certainly hope that you have. If you wouldn't mind giving it a thumbs up, that really does help our channel. And also, if you're new here, or even if you've been here for a while, check to see if you're subscribed. If not, hit the subscribe button and all notifications so you never miss another video. And then if you're not a member of our Facebook group, head over to our group called Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends. You'll get to see beautiful projects with this stamp set set and our entire Gina K Designs collection by our designers, our guest designers, and our wonderful members who share their talent with us every single day in that group. Then a big shout out to Brianne Loveland. Brianne, thank you so much for linking everything for everybody today. But if you missed any of Brianne's links, you can find everything that I used in today's video on our website at ginakdesigns.com. All right, Tom, are you ready?
I am
pick a
ready,
winner.
and here it comes. Drum roll. Today's lucky winner is Mary Ellen Fisher 9775.
Woo! Mary Ellen, congratulations, Mary Ellen. You are our winner. All you have to do is send your name and email address to info@ginakdesigns.com, and they're going to send you a $15 gift card that you can use whenever you want because they never expire. Well, everybody, today was so much fun. Thank you all so much for being here. Tom and I will be back next Tuesday night with another Stamp and Chat Live, and I'll be playing with more of our beautiful autumn release. I hope you will join us for that. In the meantime, everybody, stay safe and healthy. We love you all so very much, and mwah, we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.